Have you ever felt that even when you're making your own decisions, something within you had already chosen before you even thought? Arthur Schopenhauer, one of the darkest and most brutally honest philosophers in history, believed that free will is nothing more than a comforting illusion, a veil that hides the true nature of human behavior. To him, we are not rational beings steering our lives, but puppets of a blind, irrational force, the will. But what does this mean for you? What if everything you believe to be a personal choice is actually just a reflection of impulses you never chose to have? Let's dive into this disturbing and fascinating view on freedom, fate, and the actual control we have over our lives. Schopenhauer began with a disturbing question. If we have free will, why are we so predictable? He saw human beings not as rational and conscious agents, but as animals driven by deep, uncontrollable desires. Desires that arise without permission and shape our actions long before reason ever enters the picture. According to him, what we call "I chose" is actually just a post-rationalization. The decision had already been made, unconsciously, driven by the will. This will, in Schopenhauer's view, is not just desire. It is the essence of the universe, a blind, irrational, relentless force. It moves us just as it moves the tides, the trees, the animals. Humans, in their arrogance, believe they stand above this force. But the truth, according to Schopenhauer, is the opposite. We are merely its most self-aware expression. And that's the tragedy. If we don't choose our desires, our passions, or our temperament, do we choose anything at all? Think about the most defining moments of your life. The person you fell in love with, the career you chose, the city you live in. How many of those decisions were truly free, or were they inevitable, given your experiences, personality, and past contexts? Schopenhauer reminds us that we are shaped by forces we don't control: genetics, environment, culture, trauma, and impulses. Freedom. Maybe we only feel free because we don't know the real causes of our desires. Schopenhauer went further. He even challenged the idea of a fixed self. For him, what we call identity is just a stream of momentary wills. You are not the same you as yesterday, and you won't be the same tomorrow. The idea of a sovereign soul making conscious decisions is a comforting illusion. But this soul, he said, is just an interface, a story we construct to protect ourselves from internal chaos. And this view is more modern than it seems. Neuroscience, with experiments like those of Benjamin Libet, shows that the brain decides before we become aware of the decision. What does this mean? That perhaps Schopenhauer was right. The will acts first, and consciousness merely observes. Schopenhauer offers no easy comfort. To him, absolute freedom is a myth, but there is a kind of liberation possible, the recognition of truth. By understanding that we don't control our impulses, we can stop blindly fighting them. We can begin to observe more clearly, and with less guilt, who we truly are. Wisdom in this context isn't doing what we want, it's understanding what makes us want. That's why Schopenhauer valued art, philosophy, and contemplation so deeply. Moments when we can suspend the will, even briefly, and simply observe. In that state, he said, we experience the closest thing to true freedom, not doing, but simply being. So the next time you feel like you're making a decision, ask yourself, is this really my will, or just the will acting through me?